In one of 5 series left, this is a huge one for the Texas Rangers playing against a team in a playoff spot. Jacob deGrom's return to Citi Field. And we'll talk a little bit about the minor leagues and the Arizona Fall League. All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about Jacob deGrom's first start back in Citi Field, why this is such a must-win series for the Texas Rangers, looking around the league, and is this maybe the last series we see a huge role played by these little rascal Rangers? Before we get into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Now, the Rangers take on the Mets at Citi Field starting today, 3 games, and game 1 is going to be what a treat it will be to watch Jacob deGrom versus rookie Jonah Tong at Citi Field, a place where Jacob deGrom is very familiar, and I'm hoping we see what we saw from a lot of starts of Jacob deGrom at Citi Field. Jacob deGrom being absolutely amazing, incredible, and then the Mets losing. That's what I'm hoping for Friday night. That's what I'm hoping for really all this weekend. We're only going to see Jacob deGrom pitching once and hopefully looking incredible in that one start. But it's Rangers versus the rookies. It is the little rascals versus the rookie pitchers of the Mets. Jonah Tong has made just 2 big league starts so far in his very brief big league career. He is 1-1 with a 4.09 ERA. He has been kind of a little bit of a savior of this Mets pitching staff that was one of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball heading into this season. I thought this might be one of the better staffs. They signed Frankie Montas. That ended up being a disaster. We're not going to see Frankie Montas at all in this series. He's on the 60-day IL. He had a ERA north of 6 in 9 appearances for the Mets this year. David Peterson has been pretty much their most consistent starter all season long. Cody Senga started off great, but has been a real mess as of late. Sean Manaea has been pretty terrible this year. Clay Holmes has been fading down the stretch, which makes sense for a guy who was reliever last year and was turned starter this year, had some success early on. We're not going to see him in this series. We are going to see 3 rookie starting pitchers. It's Jacob deGrom versus Jonah Tong on Friday night, Patrick Corbin versus Brandon Sproat in his second big league start, and then Nolan McLean versus Jacob Latz on Sunday in the finale. And Nolan McLean is the veteran of these 3 starters because this will be his 6th big league start as opposed to the 3rd for Jonah Tong and the 2nd for Brandon Sproat. This is a lot of young pitchers who've been pitching well. They've been pitching fairly well, but this Mets team is just in an incredible funk. I mean, truly a phenomenal funk. They have lost all 4 games to the Philadelphia Phillies in their most recent series. Their hopes of an NL East title are completely gone. They are now 11 games back in their own division, and they've lost 6 straight games. It's been a rough stretch for these New York Metropolitans who are just barely clinging to life in that final wild card spot. I mean, they are really just hanging on there for dear life, and thankfully for them, the teams behind them have not been doing particularly well. The Reds are a game and a half back of them. Same are the San Francisco Giants, who have been on a roll as of late. They're pretty terrible after that Rafi Devers trade, but they're on their heels. I mean, the Mets are very much on their heels, and they have been in such a rough spot. I mean, truly a abysmal spot for the last month and a half, basically since June 13th, and SNY, who's the Mets broadcast booth, tweeted this out, that the Mets have the fourth worst record in baseball since June 13th. And that was, I believe, the day that they had the best record in baseball was maybe June 12th. They are 31-45, a 408 winning percentage since June 13th. They are worse than the White Sox in that span. And the only teams worse than them are the Rockies, the Twins, who sold off most of their major league team at the deadline, and the Washington Nationals, who are a disaster. That's how bad this Mets team has been. And they are in the middle of a 6-game slide. And this is a team that the Rangers should beat in hopefully 2 out of 3 of these games. They've got favorable matchups in, well, maybe 2, maybe it's just one of these starts. I mean, Patrick Corbin has been really up and down. Brandon Sproat is just such a rookie and in such a tough spot. I mean, all these guys are in a tough spot. Nolan McLean has been flat out phenomenal for these New York Mets, but so has Jacob Latz for these Texas Rangers. And the Mets have really, really struggled against left-handed starting pitching. Now, initially, I thought that Sunday's game was going to be Tyler Mahle instead of Jacob Latz, but the Rangers said, hey, we want to give Mahle one more rehab start. He looked good in his last rehab start, was pushed all the way up to, I believe, around 45 pitches or so in that last rehab start. They're going to push him up to 60, I believe, in his next rehab start, which I believe will also be in AAA. Maybe he'll be in Frisco. I'm not entirely sure on that just yet, but he will be pushed up to about 60 pitches. So the next time that Tyler Mahle goes out there, it will be probably close to a full go of 75 to 80 pitches. Maybe that'll be in next weekend's series at home. But we'll see exactly what that looks like. The last time the Rangers were here in New York, they took 2 out of 3 against the Mets in 2023. And the last game that the Rangers played in Citi Field was that game where Aroldis Chapman walked in the go-ahead run, the walk-off run, and the last really great the really last great relief appearance from Will Smith back in 2023 in August, in the middle of a really desperate stretch for these Texas Rangers. But the Rangers are in a desperate stretch right now. They are 2 games out of the AL West and that final wild card spot because the Astros lost yesterday and the Mariners won in 12 innings. They've played back-to-back 12-inning games. Love to see that from all these divisional opponents playing these long extra inning games using so many of their relievers and hopefully tiring themselves out and making it harder for them to win games down the stretch. They are both tied 2 games ahead of the Texas Rangers. They are also tied in the season series against each other. So right now, neither has the tiebreaker. There'll be 3 games next weekend that those 2 teams play against each other that will decide their tiebreaker and will decide a lot of this AL playoff chase. But I am so excited to watch Jacob deGrom go on the hill in this one. And I think there's going to be a little bit of extra fire. I don't think there's any way on earth that he would ever say it. He hasn't said anything like that of, oh, I want to go against this team that, did right by me, did for the most part. And then once he was a free agent and wanted a big old contract and had some struggles of staying healthy the last couple of years before that, they're just sticking it to a team that said, no thanks. We're good. We just developed you to win 2 Cy Youngs, probably should have been 3, be the best pitcher that the Mets have ever grown since, Dwight Gooden many, many moons ago. And we're fine letting you just walk out the door. There's got to be something that sticks in your craw as a professional baseball player of that echelon to say, oh, you think I'm not good enough to get paid what I'm getting paid? You didn't think I was worth this contract? You didn't want me? I'll show you what you're missing when you don't have me. This feels like a prime start for Jacob deGrom to go out there and absolutely dominate a team that is absolutely scuffling right now. And the Rangers are red hot. A lot of it is because of these little rascals, but there's a lot of guys on the IL. And when they come back, how many of these little rascals will stay here? Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Nutrafol. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. Whether you're at work, out with friends, or even just getting ready in the morning, Nutrafol gives you more confidence in your daily routine. And you can feel good about knowing Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. So see thicker and stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On Monday's show, I'll be back and talking about this weekend series. Maybe a sweep, maybe a 7-game winning streak for these fighting, scrappy, feel-good story Texas Rangers that are actually really darn good. But either way, I'll be back on Monday with a show talking about whatever goes on this weekend. And we'll probably see quite a bit of these little rascals in this series. We're seeing the opposite, the counterparts on the Mets side. Their little rascals are, I guess, on the mound. Rangers' little rascals are in the lineup, which has been doing some pretty good things as of late, mainly carried by Michael Helman. But the Rangers were not supposed to have these little rascals. They were not plan A. These were not the guys that we expected to be carrying this team into a postseason chase in mid-September in the early parts of this year. Nobody knew the name Michael Helman. Okay, maybe you knew the name Michael Helman. Maybe you did. If you did, then you're probably an Aggie fan. You just remember this guy. But the rest of us maybe did not know Michael Helman would be the man at the helm right now. And I think of these little rascals, I think the Rangers are going to have to make some roster changes. I mean, it's just going to happen. As cute and fun and good of a story as this genuinely is, it's a fun, good story. But you're not keeping Corey Seager on your bench for Dylan Moore or Cody Freeman or Dustin Harris. It's not happening. When you've got the chance to bring back your stars, they do need that energy that's provided by these little rascals of just getting that mentality of being aggressive, going all out, living like there's no tomorrow. Because for these little rascals and their big league career, there might not be. There are some guys who have some options, and you're not going to have to just straight up cut bait with them. Of the guys that are on the fringes of this roster that the Rangers might just straight up cut bait with, I think Rowdy Tellez is at the top of that list. He has been struggling as of late. Those first few games were incredible, but for the last 15 games, he's hitting under 200. And the last 7 games, he's hitting 111 with a 111 on base percentage and a 111 slugging percentage. The slugging percentage is down at 350 over the last 15 games. He does have 2 home runs in that span, but 13 strikeouts in 37 at-bats. He just has not been providing that pop against right-handed pitching that we saw early on in his Texas Rangers tenure. You got to give a salute and a shout out for the work that he did. There are several games the Rangers do not win without the help of Rowdy Tellez, but at this point, it's ride the hot hand. And that's kind of what the Rangers have to do. And in terms of the hot hand, Dustin Harris played a great game. It hit a great walk-off RBI double in that Friday night game against the Houston Astros in extra innings. But I don't know if he's going to survive these roster cuts whenever the Rangers bring back Corey Seager, because they've got 4 guys that they're going to have to bring back. Well, yeah, 4 that I feel pretty confident they are going to bring back. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia. Now, Marcus Semien we might not see until the very, very end of this regular season. Adolis Garcia, we're going to see hopefully on Monday. If things go well, we're going to see Adolis Garcia for the entirety of that series in Houston. Corey Seager, we may see him in Houston. It's more likely that he'll be ready for that weekend series when the Rangers come home. But either way, he's coming back soon. He is coming back hopefully very soon. And then Marcus Semien at some point, once you get to the postseason, if you haven't DFA'd the guys who are still here, then you can add them to your postseason roster or not add them to your postseason roster on a series-to-series basis, which I think the Rangers would like that flexibility to do. But the guys who have options, Cody Freeman, he's got minor league options for sure. Dustin Harris has run out of minor league options, I believe, at this point. I think Michael Helman has some options. I know Alejandro Osuna does. I don't see a situation where Michael Helman has a 3-game stretch that's so bad that the Rangers just go ahead and send him back down. He has been such a spark plug to this Rangers team. And even if he's not hitting, which he has been very much hitting this year, the defense he provides at all 3 outfield spots, the just raw speed, and just the fear factor of Michael Helman being incredibly hot right now. I mean, the man has 5 home runs in 23 games. He has been on fire. He is, at this point, one of the Rangers' 12 most valuable players by Baseball Reference for. He's at 12, and he's gaining ground on Josh Young, who's at number 11. I don't think he's going to go all the way and surpass Kyle Higashioka, but I could be wrong. We've had some incredible games from Michael Helman as of late. But I think the first one to go is probably going to be Rowdy Tellez. The Rangers already have a big boy who is a left-handed hitter who matches right-handed pitching, can kind of play first base, but doesn't really have a position. And they're paying him a whole lot more money than Rowdy Tellez, and they're also paying him for several more years than they are Rowdy Tellez. So I think Rowdy might be the first roster casualty of when the Rangers make those moves. Dylan Moore is just a signee, so I don't think the Rangers are going to cut bait with him because he is very defensively versatile. He does hit very well against left-handed pitching. He's truly incredible defensively at basically every infield spot. He's played a lot of outfield spots, so you can have that versatility there. Zeke Duran and Josh Smith, they're not going anywhere by any means. Cody Freeman, I mean, as fun of a story as he has been, the overall production has still not been good. He's hitting 209 with a 557 OPS. He's got 2 homers in 22 games and 8 ribbies, and the at-bats have been pretty quality, and he's been better than those numbers, but still, I don't know if it'll be enough better than those numbers. The same thing could be said for Alejandro Osuna, who's got a lot more plate appearances to be better than the numbers that he has shown so far this season. I mean, the on-base for him is a little bit better than Cody Freeman, and he hits right-handed pitching well and plays pretty good defense in the outfield, whereas Cody Freeman, he can play a bunch of different positions in the corner outfield, the corner infield, also can play second base, maybe can play shortstop in a pinch. I don't think we'll see him at shortstop. So we'll see exactly how this roster shakes out, but I mean, these guys are coming back, hopefully soon. And as much as I've loved having these scrappy little never say die little rascal Rangers on this roster and fueling this run, and I don't think the vibes are immediately going to fall off as soon as you get your good players back, because I talked about it on yesterday's show, or maybe it was 2 days ago's show, is that you need that scrappy youthful energy of guys at the end of your roster playing their butts off, playing for their big leaguing lives, as well as just the actual bona fide star baseball players like Corey Seager, like Marcus Semien, like Adolis Garcia, who actually have that level of talent to go on a deep run in the postseason, which the Rangers might just do. I mean, they are getting closer and closer and closer to these postseason spots. The Rangers, you're more okay. I don't want to say you're ever rooting for the Houston Astros, but you're more okay with the Houston Astros winning games that next weekend against the Seattle Mariners, because the Rangers have lost a tiebreaker to the Mariners. They've lost it to the Yankees. Both of those teams are not too far away from the Rangers. The Red Sox are holding that second wild card 4 games away from the Rangers, and the Yankees are holding that top wild card spot 4.5 games away from these Texas Rangers. So it's going to really come down to the wire. Rangers have a 1.5 game cushion behind them with the Cleveland Guardians, but every game is going to matter, and every game of these little rascals, they're going to be playing their butts off. They know eventually their time in the big leagues is going to come to an end, probably at some point this year, and they are going to play with every single ounce of their baseballing talent, every single ounce of their athleticism. We've seen it rub off on the Rangers, on the big stars, the big guys who, have these guaranteed contracts, who have been established big leaguers. Their energy is rubbing off on them. We've seen it twice in 2 big spots. One was, and specifically, I'm just thinking of hustling out a ground ball to make sure you're not doubled off in a double play. There was one in Arizona in the game the Rangers won that Adolis Garcia ran his butt off and ended up so hard that he ended up straining his quad and saved himself and scored what was the game-tying run at that point. Or maybe it was a very important run at that point. He was rubbing off so hard from these other, youthful exuberance of these Rangers of Cody Freeman always trying to take that extra base. Alejandro Osuna being aggressive on the base pass. And same with Michael Helman trying to take that extra base and being smart in his aggression. And we saw it from Jock Peterson in that final game against the freaking Brewers. A just routine ground ball double play. Big boy Jock Peterson, who does not have speed, has not had speed since he was with the Dodgers. It's been a long time since we could say Jock Peterson is a speedy baseball player. He was at one point, but right now he is a big, beefy boy. And you saw him hustling down that line to beat out a double play. And because of that, the Rangers were able to get a run off of a balk from Freddie Peralta and score the go-ahead run at that point because Jock Peterson wasn't content to say, okay, well, maybe this is probably a double play. I'm just going to, let it take place. No, he was hustling. He was moving. He was motoring. And that infectious energy has infected the entirety of this Rangers roster. And I hope that they keep that same energy whenever these replacements come back. And maybe if they're not even on the roster, they can at least travel with the team during this postseason because the Rangers need that infectious energy of these little rascal Rangers. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about this minor league season. One finale to a prospects series that make me look at them a little bit differently than when they were drafted a couple of months ago. Talk about that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is helping you get ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app on all kinds of different things, whether you're wanting to bet on football, whether you're wanting to bet on baseball. Let's look at these division odds right now. Oh, boy. After the Mariners won last night and the Astros lost, the Mariners are now the favorites to win the AL West at minus 150. Astros, second favorite at plus 130. Rangers, all the way down there at plus 1,300. That is very, very interesting. You want to look at awards totals right now for the Cy Young. Jacob deGrom has the third best odds, tied with Astros pitcher Hunter Brown at plus 7,500. Tarek Skubal is minus 20,000 to win the AL Cy Young. So that feels like a surefire bet. Not as surefire as Paul Skeens, who is minus 50,000 to win the NL Cy Young. So go check out all those offers. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. After every single game, Jeff Biggs is with you with a Locked On Rangers postcast. He'll be with you all weekend long, talking about all these games against the New York Mets, reacting live to all 15 games that are left and maybe even some postseason games. It's live in your Locked On Rangers podcast feeds on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Now, the Texas Rangers are going to send a lot of players to the Arizona Fall League, and that is a big deal. Now, if you don't know what the Arizona Fall League is, it is a supplemental minor league that happens right after the end of the regular season. It goes all the way into October after all of other affiliated minor league baseball is done for the year. This is kind of a secondary league where a lot of teams will send their top prospects who just did not get enough time. Usually it's pitchers that miss time due to injury. They want to get another few innings. It's the advancement of this level. The talent ranges from anywhere between high A and triple A. It's usually leans more towards about the double A talent level. But the Rangers have a lot of guys who they are sending to the Arizona Fall League just to get a few more reps. They are sending their top pitching prospect and their top hitting prospect, Sebastian Walcott, the number one prospect for me in all of baseball, because he is a teenager who absolutely held his own in Double-A. Had some rough moments there in the middle of the season, cratered a little bit in August and a little bit in the back half of July. But towards the end of this year, he is finishing on a strong note. He is incredibly talented, and the Rangers just want to get a few more reps for their young Bahamian shortstop who has just all the tools in the world and a really good head on his shoulders. It was a tough year, and a tough year defensively. He got charged with, I believe at this point, he's at 22 or 23 errors. Will he stick at shortstop long-term as a guy who's 6'5" and one of the largest teenagers I've ever met. I realized that I kept calling him the largest teenager I ever met. And then I realized I'd stood next to 6'7" teenage Luka Doncic, who might be a little bit bigger than Sebastian Walcott was at 19. But they're also sending Jose Corniel, who just made his debut about a month or so ago after coming back from Tommy John surgery in 2024. He is right now, according to MLB Pipeline, the Rangers' top pitching prospect at number 3 on their list. They're also sending their former first-round pick from last year, Malcolm Moore. They're not sending Gavin Feen, who made his minor league debut this year and played 10 games with Hickory Crawdads, whose season is over. I'll talk about them in just a second. But for Malcolm Moore, it's been a rough year. The first month or so of the season, he looked incredible, and then he broke his pinky, and it took him longer to come back than initially expected. It was supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks. I believe it ended up being somewhere between 10 to 12 weeks for him to actually return. And offensively, when he returned, his bat was bad. It was straight up bad. This was a hit-first catcher who had a really bad offensive season at low A with the Hickory Crawdads. Now, it's 1 year, and catchers are weird, and they take a long time to develop. And I'm not by any means writing off Malcolm Moore. I mean, he is MLB Pipeline might be, though. I mean, he was the Rangers' number 2 prospect heading into this season. Well, I guess once they got the graduations from both Jack Leiter and from Kumar Rocker, he was the Rangers' number 2 prospect for a decent chunk of the season. He's dropped all the way down to number 11. I don't know if I'm going to drop him that far whenever I do my preseason prospect rankings in March. Thankfully, I've got a lot of time between now and then to figure it out. But he's a guy who needs some more reps, as does Winston Santos, who was promising at points this year. He was in AA, and his last start out there was a little bit rough. He missed multiple months with a back injury this season, but he's a guy who's got a special fastball and a slider that is coming along quite nicely, and a changeup that I think looks okay. I have not gotten a chance to see him in person. I don't know that I will this year, but Santos is a guy who needs some more innings for sure, as does Emiliano Teodo, who, my goodness, what a disaster of a season this has been for Teodo. He struggled with injuries, and he has really regressed mightily in his command. He was moved from a starting role last year where he dominated AA, still had some issues with walks, but absolutely dominated with that high 90s to upper, or I guess lower 100s fastball and a really, really nasty breaking ball and a changeup that was making some progress. But this year in AAA, when he was moved to the pen, the Rangers thought maybe he would be helping out this bullpen in some high leverage spots. I thought heading into this year that he'd be helping out this bullpen in high leverage spots as soon as the end of May. And that really has not been the case. The Rangers have sent him all the way back down to AA, where he's had some good moments. He's had some bad moments. He's still walking a lot of AA hitters, which if you're walking a lot of AA hitters, if you come to the big leagues, you're going to walk a lot of big league hitters. And he has had just to get a little bit more confidence back in him. He is a guy who has an incredible ceiling, probably sticking in that relief role. I don't know if they move him back into the rotation, if that kind of fixes some of those problems, changes his mentality. I don't know what is going on with Emiliano Teodo, but I know that it has not been particularly great. They're also sending Dylan Dreiling, who they drafted out of Tennessee, a left-handed hitting corner outfielder who occasionally plays some center field. He's had a down year offensively in, I believe he's with Hickory, or maybe he's with Hub City, who both Hub City, the high A affiliate of the Texas Rangers, the Spartan Burgers, and the low A affiliate, the Hickory Crawdads. Boy, there have been some really tough box scores in terms of offense. It has not been a highly offensive league, and the Rangers hitters there have been offensive, but not in the way that they're actually doing offense. It's just kind of the quality of at-bats have been a little offensive. They're also sending Colton Curtis, a right-handed pitcher who MLB Pipeline has as their number 23 prospect, and they're also sending another right-handed pitcher, Joey Danielson, who I will be honest, I don't know anything about Joey Danielson, but this is a lot of guys who are basically all top 30 prospects who are going to get some extended looks in surprise with the Hickory, or not surprise, in surprise with the Arizona Fall League. The way the Arizona Fall League works, if you don't know, there are going to be a bunch of different teams that are all combined onto one roster. So it's usually 2 or 3 teams of worth of prospects, teams as prospects that are all on one team, the Surprise Segueros. So it won't be just Rangers prospects on the Surprise Segueros in the Arizona Fall League. It will be multiple teams worth of prospects, but we'll see. I guarantee you will see a lot of Sebastian Walcott. We'll probably see as much Jose Corniel, Winston Santos, and Malcolm Moore as the Rangers are wanting to be seen. And there's just one more thing I want to talk about before we get out of here, and that is the Hickory Crawdads, whose season is over. They had some interesting prospects on there. Josh Owens, who was a two-way player, an 18-year-old who the Rangers drafted in the 3rd round out of a Tennessee high school. He played multiple different positions in his very brief tenure with this team. He also played a little bit in the Appalachian Summer League. Looked okay there, but offensively, it was a bit of a rough stretch for him. I mean, really, it was kind of hard to watch. He played a little bit of second base. He played a little bit of shortstop. He pitched. He DH'd. And hitting-wise, in 24 plate appearances, he had 2 hits. One of them was a double. Didn't have any RBIs. Didn't have any walks, and struck out 11 times. So nearly half the time he was striking out. He had a batting average of 083 and slugged 125 for a 208 OPS. Not the best, but again, it's 8 games, and the kid was just drafted. He's 18 years old and already playing full season ball. That is an aggressive assignment, and it tells me the Rangers believe in him as a player. He also pitched, and the pitching went significantly better. He pitched in 2 games, started both games, went 2 innings in both games, did not allow a run, did not allow an earned run, I should specify, allowed just 1 hit, 3 walks in those 4 innings, and struck out 6. That is more encouraging than the reports I heard about him as a pitcher. It seemed like, according to what I was reading about Josh Owens, he was a lot more developed as a hitter than he was a pitcher. And again, this is a tiny sample size. It's 4 innings, 2 starts, and then 8 starts as a hitter, where the numbers were just a little bit better in that small sample size as a pitcher than a hitter. We also got to see a little bit of Gavin Fein, who was the Rangers' 1st round pick this year. He played in 10 games, 45 plate appearances for the Hickory Crawdads, hit 220 with a 608 OPS, had 7 RBIs in that span, stole 1 base, walked 3 times to 11 strikeouts, had a trio of doubles and a singular triple, scored 4 runs. So looked pretty solid out there, playing mostly shortstop. I believe he DH'd a little bit as well. I think it was just shortstop and DH, even though he's profiled as, maybe this guy is going to go to first base, or he's probably only going to be third base, or maybe they shove him in a corner outfield spot. The Rangers are determined to keep Gavin Fein as a shortstop for as long as they possibly can. And the last little cherry on top of what has been a pretty decent year for the Hickory Crawdads is the explosion of Caden Scarborough, who is probably the biggest breakout story in this Rangers minor league system. He pitched in 19 games for the Hickory Crawdads. He had a 2.88 ERA in 75 innings and 95 strikeouts, 11.5 Ks per 9, only 2.3 walks per 9. This is a guy who is a converted pitcher, a 6th round pick back out of in 2023. So he's not been in pro baseball that long by any means, but since his promotion to Hub City, where he has pitched now 3 times, he has 13 innings in that span at the more advanced level, where he is 3.2 years younger than the average player in the Sally League. In those 3 games, he has not allowed a single earned run. He's allowed just 6 hits, only 2 walks, and struck out 19. So he has 1.5 walks per 9 and 13.2 Ks per 9 in the more advanced league, and he has not allowed a single earned run in 3 starts. I believe he's starting tonight again for the Hub City Spartanburgers. This guy is someone I'm going to talk a lot about this offseason, getting this kind of production out of a 6th round pick who is projectable, who is projected to maybe add more velocity because he's listed at 6'5", 185. I think he's added a little bit of weight there. But this is a guy who has been a breakout pitcher that I don't think I've talked nearly enough about, because this Rangers big league team has been going through so much. They're going to keep going through so much because this is a huge weekend series against the New York Mets. And if the Rangers can keep on winning and extend that losing streak by these New York Mets, by the end of this weekend, they might find themselves in a postseason spot. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy Playoff Chase Texas Rangers baseball.